Good day, student. My name is Okonya Eugene. I am your biology teacher. I'm sorry for yesterday's video. There was a little mix-up, so I decided to produce another one today. Our topic for today is variation. But before we start, let's look at the lesson objectives. I believe at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define variation, differentiate continuous variation from discontinuous variation, list the various ways individuals vary in morphological and physiological functions. Now let's define variation. Variation can be defined as differences that exist between individuals of the same species, or differences in traits or characteristics between individuals of the same species. Observations shown that no two individuals are exactly alike. Even the so-called identical twins show clear differences when closely looked at. In struggle for existence, only those better adapted to their environment survive. Thus, a natural selection takes place. The unfit do not survive. Now let's look at continuous, discontinuous, and continuous variation. Traits that show a certain type of variation is known as having discontinuous variation. For example, pea plants are either tall or short, and the seeds green or yellow. There are no intermediate forms between these traits. They are easily distinguishable and are not affected by environmental conditions. Other examples of such traits are the ability to roll tongue, ability to taste phenylethiocarbamide, PTC in bracket, ABO blood groups in man, etc. Discontinuous variation is brought about by one or a few genes. Continuous variation. Characteristics showing continuous variation vary in a general way with a broad range and many intermediate values between the extremes. However, not all traits fall into clear-cut classes. There are many intermediate skin colors and heights. Such characteristics show a continuous variation from one extreme to the other. Now, this type of variation can be classified into two extremes. Like in that of pea plants, we discover that pea plant can either be short or tall. In human blood groups, it can also belong to either group A or B or AB and O. There is no intermediate, there is no in-between traits that fall into it. So these things can be classified or grouped into two or more. So continuous variation are affected by environmental conditions. For example, a greater exposure to sunlight may cause a person to have a darker skin color. This is also known as acquired variation. Other examples of continuous variation in man are intelligence and weight. So we now look at types of variation. There are two types of variation: morphological and physiological variation. Morphological variation is a type of variation that shows physical traits or outward appearances in organisms. So these features, they are noticeable. For instance, when you look at a person, you can either say somebody is dark in complexion or the person is fair in complexion, or somebody is short or tall. So you can easily see those traits in man. So now let's look at examples of morphological variation. Examples of morphological variations are height, weight, color of eye, hair coat of animals, as well as a fingerprint pattern. Physiological variation is a type of variation that refers to differences in the body functions or the way organisms behave. Examples of physiological variation are A. Disparities in behavior. B. Ability to test phenethylcarbamide in bracket PTC. C. Ability to roll one's tongue. D. Having different types of blood groups. E. Ability to close one eye and keep the other open. F. Ability to move the ears without moving the head. Causes of variation. There are two major factors that may cause variation in living organisms. The factors are genetic difference and influence of the environment. Genetic difference. When parents bear children, each child inherits some characteristics of father and some of the mother. No two children, except identical twins, inherit exactly the same combination of characteristics from father and mother. There are also in some cases when genes are altered or changed. Such a sudden change in a gene is called mutation. A mutation can be inherited and brings about a variation. Let's look at influence of the environment. The environment plays an important role in variation that may occur in human beings. Environment includes housing, food, health care, educational facilities, parental care. A person who is intelligent may become dull if he is exposed to unfavorable environment, e.g., absence of schools, lack of good food, inadequate medical attention, etc. On the other hand, a person born into a good environment such as good housing, good medical care, good parental care may improve in physical and mental build-up, even though may be deficient genetically. Application of variation. Variation can be useful in the following areas. 1. Crime detection. B. Blood transfusion. C. Determination of paternity. D. Comparison of DNA patterns. So we are going to continue in our next lesson on the application of variation. But before then, let's take this assignment and you are going to submit it. Write it in your note, and or you can also send it to me in my WhatsApp as personal message to me. Then I will see what you did, if it is right or not. So these are the assignments. 1. Define variation. 2. Name and explain types of variation. 3. In a tabular form, state 4 differences between continuous and discontinuous variation. 5. Briefly explain how the knowledge of variation can be applied in A. Crime detection, B. Blood transfusion. 5. The blood group of a woman is B and her child's blood group is AB. What are the possible blood types of the father of the child? Thank you. God bless you. So we'll meet again in our next lesson.